สวัสดีครับขอต้อนรับเข้าสู่การบรรยายสรุปข้อมูลของบริษัท TPIPL จำกัดมหาชนนะครับสำหรับผลประกอบการไตรมาส 3 ปี 2025 นะฮะคุณมาเรียเบรนดาซานเชสลาปิสเป็น Vice President Corporate Relations นะครับจะเป็นผู้บรรยายสรุปข้อมูลนะฮะผมประเสริฐอิทธิเมคินนะครับSVP ทาง Finance จะร่วมตอบคำถามนะครับขอเชิญคุณมาเรียเลยครับ
Okay. Good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for joining in this presentation, a review of the 9 months and the third quarter performance of TPIPL Group. In terms of assets, not much change, but I just would like to highlight that the technical upgrade of the 150 megawatt into MSW power plant is already completed, and the last boiler A, will start commissioning 1st of December. And then I also would like to bring attention to the planned increase in the pyrolysis capacity to 30,000 tons per year from 14,000 tons per year currently. Initiatives are the same for this year. We have pushed towards higher green cement and green building products sales, continue to bring in innovative specialty polymers, continue to push the bioorganic products for agriculture and sustainable agriculture, and then expansion in the green energy and power capacity and cost efficiency via plant retrofitting. I would like to highlight that this cost efficiency program is a medium-term program for the company and is mainly addressed to ESG agenda, and it's almost completing. Phase 1 at least is almost completing. These are our product groups. Not much of a change. There is this wood substitute product that we are pushing into the market, and we have a patent on this product from the US, and we have begun testing the product into the US market. And very recently, we also acquired the industry green label 4, which indicates that ESG culture is already embedded in our processes and operations. So we get to put the signage on our packaging, and having this label qualifies us to supply every single type of government project. Solar is the same. We have our DCs all have solar roofs, and we have also completed the solar farm phase 1. We may still be able to increase our solar farm capacity, but that would depend on the PPA. So in terms of the performance highlights, the group sales in the 9 months was actually lower slightly because of the lower contribution from energy and also the weaker than usual seasonality in construction materials. However, the normal operating profit, which is excluding one-time items and tax, rose significantly, and that is largely because of the significant improvement in the margin of the construction material division. Our EBITDA is up single digit, but if you exclude the FX and the one-time charge, it would be up double digit. In terms of operation, the lower contribution from the power was due to the other expiry in April. However, the volume output actually is higher. The EBITDA and sales was boosted by construction materials. Overall, demand for Consmat has improved compared to last year on the back of normal capex spending of the government. But in terms of quarter on quarter, we had a weaker season this year because of La Nina, whereby rains are more intense. Clinker export, we resumed in March, but it fizzled in the third quarter due to unfavorable pricing. Essentially, our competition market is Vietnam, and the Vietnamese dong was very weak, whereas the Thai baht was very strong. So that alone affected the competitiveness of the Thai exporters of clinker. So this is our snapshot. As I mentioned, sales was down 2%. However, cost was down more, 8%, and this result in gross profit improving 20% and the margin rising from 22% last year to 27% this year. If we go down line, you can see that our gross profit minus SG&A is up 46%. This SG&A does not include the one-time litigation costs because I wanted to show how the core operations delivered in the first 9 months of this year. And our pre-tax profit was up 58%. And our EBITDA margin, was up 9%. This, by the way, is including the litigation cost. But if you exclude the litigation cost, the increase is much higher. And the margin, corresponding margin was 24% and rising to 26%. So overall, the 9 months of this year, despite slight difficulty in terms of export and also seasonality, is a much improvement than last year. And that is largely because of the cost factors. And that is the product of our ESG-related investments particularly. In terms of sales by division, construction materials was up 2% in terms of value. In terms of volume, it was flat year on year. Petrochemicals were up 12% in terms of value, but this is largely volume because last year, if you recall, we had a maintenance shutdown. Energy is down 26% year on year, and this is because of other. The volume actually is up year on year. Agriculture is down because of both volume and price. In terms of profitability, the construction material was up 54% year on year to nearly 3 billion baht. And this is the main reason why our EBITDA was up 9% year on year. This is the EBITDA margin that includes the litigation expense of 479. So you can see here, even with the litigation expense, our EBITDA margin improved from 12% last year to 19% this year in the construction material. However, the EBITDA margin of petrochemicals were still lower than last year. And the margin of our energy was actually better. And the reason for this is because of the increase in the volume. And that has a dramatic effect on the margin. So the group's EBITDA margin was 26% compared to last year. But if you exclude the other items, the increase would be 16%, and the corresponding margin would be 28% compared to 24% last year. Okay, I would like to emphasize, we call this item litigation expense, but actually, this is the provision of the cost of site restoration. Just for easy, what you call easy relation in terms of how we disclose this information last year. So we call it litigation expense, but this is provision for the cost of the site restoration on the cases that has already been concluded. So this is the quarterly snapshot. You can see for the group, We are down Q-on-Q because of the seasonality factor, but our cost continues to improve, so we can deliver improved gross profit. And then in terms of normal operating profit, we are still okay. We deliver a growth of 9% quarter on quarter. And on the EBITDA, without the one-time expenses, we are up 6% quarter on quarter. This is despite the seasonality factor. In terms of, so where are we now when it comes to EBITDA? We have we are closing at 2.5 billion. And in terms of operating profit, excluding extra items, we are about 1 billion compared to what we have been doing last year. So all throughout this year, first quarter, second and third quarter, we have shown improvement in our core financial metrics. So you can see us in terms of gross profit. We were 20% last year. Now we are approaching 30%. And in terms of EBITDA, excluding the one-time, we were 23% last year and we hit 32% in third quarter, even though with the seasonal factors. So core operations showed resilient, or not only resilient, but actually significant improvement. And that is mainly because of cost savings coming from the enhancement CapEx that we have been engaged in the last 3 to 5 years. So this is by segment. You can see the construction material in terms of sales down 9%, and that is because of the seasonality. And La Nina this year made seasonality more deep. So in terms of EBITDA, this is with the litigation cost. If we add back the litigation cost, it would be 1.3 billion. So still very good EBITDA for the construction material, even though the quarter was quite slow. And in terms of margin, so you can see here, if you adjust this with the litigation, this would be going towards 28% on the construction material. So this is, if you compare with the other operators in the market, this is actually a very much, desirable performance in terms of construction material. In terms of contribution, you can see historically, our construction material is the largest division and always account over 50%, or most of the time over 50% of our sales. However, in terms of cash flow or cash generation, it doesn't yield much EBITDA. But this year, especially in the third quarter, the division brought in 61% of our sales. And in terms of EBITDA, it was 43%. Now, the interesting one is the power, right? Because previously power is mid-range in terms of EBITDA, our sales contribution. But in terms of EBITDA, it used to be the bigger segment for us. But starting this year, in the third quarter in particular, it was only 44%. This number is the number you can go going forward because the other expired in April. So second quarter is not the number. But what you can also see, interestingly, is that the EBITDA margin of the power business, you can see it's quite good in first quarter, down significantly in the second quarter because of other, and then bouncing back. In third quarter, even though the impact of other is 3 months. And this is because we actually have measures in place, projects ongoing, that is designed to recover the EBITDA margin for the power. So we can probably say, assuming operations-wise is the same, that the second quarter is the bottom for the EBITDA margin contribution of the power division. And here, petrochemicals used to be a star contributor in terms of EBITDA, and it's already faded back into what we can call our normalized range. So in terms of leverage, our net EBITDA, IBD to EBITDA ratio was 7.91 times in third as of the end of third quarter. Net IBD is 7.1. If you recall, at the end of 2024, we were 8.04. So we have managed to bring down our leverage. This includes the one-time provision for the cost of the site restoration. If we exclude that item, this ratio would come down to around 7.5 times. And this is calculated on the same basis as what Trish uses when it calculates the EBITDA of the company. Trailing for 12 months or 4 quarters equivalent. Our credit rating has dropped to BBB, but the outlook is stable. And for TPIPL Power, it's the same as A. In terms of net debt to equity, we are okay. We are slightly higher than internal target, which is 1 times, but this is not a concern at this point in time. So the industry, the most important part is the construction material. And you can see that the CapEx spending of the government has recovered. And this is because the functioning of the government is normal this year compared to last year. So this is also the reason why the cement manufacturers were able to reduce the rebates or the discount. Therefore, the average selling prices is better than last year. And not only the government, but also the state-owned enterprises, you can see the recovery in their spending, although they are still tracking lower compared to the spending in the year of 2022-2023. But all good in terms of CapEx spending of the government, and we hope it will continue, even though there is going to be an election in the first quarter of next year. In terms of manufacturing, because we have polymers, petrochemicals, you can see that the producer manufacturing index is showing still lackluster manufacturing activity. So with this kind of picture on the major economies, we cannot hope for petrochemical prices to be better, honestly speaking. So you see, even China, which is the largest manufacturer in the world right now, is just around the break even or the midpoint between expansion and contraction. And you can see the bigger economies like China, still the industries are not recovering. The footwear, which is the proxy for general manufacturing, is better. However, the solar related production is still very weak. So we do not hope to see sustainability in terms, or we cannot dream of petrochemical prices rising. This increase in the manufacturing activity is more seasonal rather than anything else because of the gift-giving season. The good news for us in Thailand is that when you look at the various PMI of the region, you can see that ASEAN is better, 53 compared to China at 51. And Thailand itself is interestingly much higher at 57%. So what does this mean? It means that intra-regional ASEAN, the prices of the plastic and polymers or related intermediate products should be better than other parts of the Asian region because we have a lot of intra-regional trade. ASEAN market for Thailand accounts for about 15% of total already. So this is marginally good news. So what to do? For us, our petrochemical division expects a slightly better spread in the fourth quarter, continuing to January 2026. The reason for this is we already have orders on hand, and the capacity that was supposed to come in are delayed into the first quarter of next year. So slightly better in terms of outlook for the fourth quarter, but first quarter after January, we will review the whole situation. So given this kind of picture and manufacturing backdrop, what do we do with our polymer is the same. We will continue to switch between products. So you can see here that in the first quarter, the ratio of LDPE is higher than historically seen. but it came down. So it was 23% LDPE in the first quarter, but in the third quarter, it went down to 14%. And our, what do you call the EVA is higher, 61% in first quarter, 67% by the third quarter. In terms of target, we are aiming for 90% utilization rate this year, and we were cumulatively 76% at the end of 9 months this year. In the cost side, you can see the coal prices rising, but it's still lower than last year. So this is a good thing, but the natural gas price remains depressed. So I would like to talk about ESG more than normal, because this has been the reason for our leverage, and also this has been an area that is that was affected significantly by the recent court cases. So we have a very clear formula on how we can achieve the carbon neutrality, which is targeted in 2043 for the group. So whatever byproduct we create, for example, when we burn the MSW, we will get fly ash and some ash related, and we push this into our construction material. And this is how we can say that we actually do not send anything polluting into the government, and everything else goes into our production. So we have like we said, we have a very clear process on what to do so that we can get to our carbon neutrality. And it's still the same. The target is 2043, and our capex in the last 3 to 5 years has been focused to what we can call low hanging. Not low hanging because it's easy, but it's low hanging because it's technically doable. And then we're gonna move into a more deep technology part of the whole program. Our products, we move towards green, and this is about 80% of total right now, or slightly over 80%. Hydraulic cement is what other people call as green cement. It is called green because it has less clinker. In a normal OPC, clinker is 93%, but in a hydraulic, the clinker is only 80%. And our hydraulic cement has received the certified green industry level 4, which is green culture. And given our capacity of 6.3 million, we can help reduce the GHG emission by almost slightly over 500,000 tons of carbon per year. Another product for us is the mortar, whereby the hydraulic cement content is only 25%. We have been doing this since 1996. So, okay, in terms of hydraulic, we have been doing hydraulic since 2013. So it's really not new for us. What is relatively new is how we can make our hydraulic even more cost efficient in terms of clinker content. And then mortar, we've been doing mortar since 1996. And on our mortar, we only have 25% hydraulic. And this movement towards mortar, you can technically reduce your carbon footprint by 10%. Our wood substitute is actually patented in the US. And so we began campaigning on this material, and we made good strides in our marketing this year because of the fire in California early this year, right? So we are testing the market, and we've sent a few volume to that market already. Let's see how it goes. This is the replacement of coal with MSW. On installed capacity basis, we can do up to 25%, and currently we are halfway there. When we hit that number, we expect further cost savings in our production of clinker, simply because MSW processing cost is still cheaper compared to coal. If you want to know this process, here is the link to the video that the manufacturer produced, not us, if you want to see how it goes. Now, I would like to say that all cement producers claim to use industrial waste. We are the only one, as far as we know, in the region that actually use MSW. And so this should be getting more carbon credit or recognition than using industrial waste. I'm just saying. Our green raw materials. So previously, what limestone we cannot use, we throw back into the environment, to the site. However, we have installed this facility we call CDE, and we can reprocess 2 million tons per year of byproduct. And this alone can help us reduce about 77,000 tons per year of carbon. What we do is this CDE plant will reprocess the limestone and come out with other related products such as sand that can still be used into the production of concrete and other related materials. If you want to know more about this CDE, here is the link to the video of the manufacturer, and it tells you what kind of output we can get by pushing the byproduct limestone into this particular facility. So how about innovation? Because we still need to reduce the carbon emission, carbon footprint of the cement production process. What we have done is we have modified our calciner and we use vortex generator. Vortex generator is not new technology, but it is something that needs to be modified if you want to apply it into a calciner. And what does this do is that it reduces the usage of energy and increases the textural strength of the cement. Therefore, any cement produced with this kind of technology has faster processing time. That is one. The second is we have installed a double incline clinker cooler. So what happens is that the quenching process of the meal is faster now, and because of that, this results on a better strength for our cement. And then we have also this what you call mobile crusher. Previously, what we do is we bring the limestone to the crushing unit. So there is a diesel and transportation cost attached to that. We now have this mobile crusher that can move around in various places of our mining site and can pulverize our limestone and make it smaller. So this can save us diesel. Our modification, as I mentioned, the boiler A is supposed to come this month, but it will be December 1. And you can hear more about this in the presentation of the subsidiary TPIPL Power, which is on Tuesday next week. So all the rest of this is in TPIPL Power's domain. So we now have an EV charger in, I think, 6 to 8 of our petrol station. And we can serve also to the third party. This electrification program of TPIPL will be completed by 2027 or 2028. Still more to go in terms of logistics trucks. And in terms of corporate merits, TPIPP is still rated AAA by the SG rating, and we are still, both companies are still in the ESG emerging of the TPIPL, which is an index that is managed by Land and Houses Securities. This year, we have joined the UN Global Compact. What does this mean? It means that we will be preparing a different set of report according to the UNGC guidelines, which is followed by more than 20,000 entities all over the world. And this should be able to tell us whether we are in line or not with what USGC is trying to achieve. And then we can make the fine-tuning on our ESG and sustainability program. We all, as I mentioned earlier, we get the Green Industry Level 4. So our packaging contains this, which means we can supply to all kinds of government-related projects. And our cement boards also receive the green certification, and that qualifies us to many of these commercial complexes. So that would be good for us and will make things easy for us to sell to these big projects, big buildings. Our plastic received a standard in India, and we are we are one of the 5 in the whole world whereby the plastic is allowed to be used in direct contact packaging, direct contact, food contact packaging in India. So we are trying to grow into that market as well. Energy award, TPIPL Power is always an awardee in the Thai Energy Awards. But this year, it's kind of special because our MSW processing plant in Rayong won the award on the biofuel category, number 1. And then we sent our project to be evaluated on an ASEAN basis, and we get the first runner-up position behind the Indonesia project. So it's good to know that what is doing well here in Thailand can also be recognized in the region. And then we also received an Industrial Energy Efficiency Award from the ESG Business Awards. This is a very young award that is regional and based in Singapore, and they scrutinize projects all over the region for whatever it is that is ESG related. So for us, we submitted our program of the multifaceted approach to GHG reduction, and we get recognized that what we are doing is correct and in line with the regional standards. If you notice, TPIPL Power has become a more diversified entity. So we sent up our entry into the International Finance Magazine and see whether we can bid for the most innovative, diverse energy business company in Thailand. And we won the recognition. So TPIPL, although very much known as an MSW power plant, is actually growing in MSW processing, has moved towards EV, and has moved towards green energy, which is the solar farm and the solar power. We also received this certificate from ASQR. This is called quality research, but actually this diamond category is awarded to companies with very good management processes and practices. And this is won by survey among suppliers and customers globally. So that we get diamond category is quite an achievement for us, given that we come from Asia and we are MSW driven power plant. And of course, the company is very dedicated into the reforestation program and afforestation program. So this is a yearly event for us, and we always get recognized by the appropriate agencies on afforestation activities. And these are just our social engagement. So we don't only operate and try to improve our processes and what have you, but we also join in knowledge sharing and effectively contribute to the effort to make the whole country ESG and sustainable. So we do the knowledge sharing. So we are active on that part as well. So the last one, litigation, okay? The 5 cases on the mining side is almost complete. Only 1 is left. But you can already see that we will go for site restoration, and you can use the 479 as basis for what could the cost be if the 479 million, what the cost would be if we conclude this one. Now, in the notes to financial statements, you cannot see the case that is very recently on the company back in August, right? And the reason for that is because in that particular case, TPIPL is identified as the 3rd defendant, and the the penalty is a fine of 160,000 baht. Even though we are innocent of the case of the what do you call
litigation,
we are innocent of the crime, we still paid the 160,000 baht fine because we want the name of Pauline out of the picture. This is the reason why you do not see this case in our notes to financial statement when you go down and see the contingent liabilities, right? And because also the second dependent is Konprachai. He is our top management, but it is a personal case. And if he is proven violating some provisions, then he is liable to jail without parole. No attached financial burden to the case. So you cannot find this case in our notes to financial statement because this has nothing to do with TPIPL company. Okay, so we get that clear. So there are questions related to this, and Konprasert will expand on this particular.
Something because the order from the court is only from first court.
Yes.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So in our filing, we have also said that this is still in the court of first instance. So that case that came out, that verdict was an indictment and was discussed in the court of first instance, which means that there are many more stages to go through before it arrives at the Supreme Court. And we all know how fast our legal situation is. But anyway, this has nothing to do with TPIPL. That is the most important part of the whole story. And so you cannot find this in our financial statement.
And
So-
by law, the defendants, both Pauline and our management, is still considered innocent until the case is final
Yes.
by the Supreme Court.
Yes, because it is still here. When you see this court of first instance, this means that everyone indicted is innocent until proven. So that is court of first instance. Okay, we will go to question and answer now. We have 8 minutes to go.
Thank you กลับมาที่คำถามนะครับมีถามว่าเดี๋ยวผมจะไปเร็วนิดนึงเพราะว่าเหลือเวลาประมาณ 8-10 นาทีนะครับQ3 มีปริมาณขายปูนในประเทศกี่ตันประมาณเฉพาะโดเมสติกเนี่ยประมาณ 6.8 ล้านตันนะครับถ้ารวมเอ็กซ์พอร์ตด้วยก็ประมาณ7ล้านต้น 7.1 7.2 นะครับราคาขายเฉลี่ยดีขึ้น year on year Q on Q ถ้าเป็น Q on Q ก็ดีขึ้นเล็กน้อยแต่ถ้าเป็น year on year ก็จะดีขึ้นค่อนข้างเยอะข้อ2ค่าใช้จ่ายในการถมดินและฟื้นฟูสภาพนะครับในส่วนคดีเนี่ยบันทึกครบหรือยังในไตรมาส 3จะมีการบันทึกเพิ่มหรือไม่นะครับเท่าที่เราได้รับแจ้งจากทางโรงงานเนี่ย479 ล้านเนี่ยสำหรับทุกคดีนะครับอันนี้ก็ถือว่าครบแล้วนะฮะคาดว่าค่าใช้จ่ายตรงนี้น่าจะเพียงพอสำหรับการถมตามที่ประเมินโดยทางโรงงานความคืบหน้านะครับก็มีสว1 สว2ที่ได้นำดินหินแร่ไปถมแล้วนะครับแล้วก็ตัวอื่นก็อยู่ระหว่างการถมนะครับตัวที่ถมแล้วก็ต้องรอการตรวจรับด้วยสอบถามเรื่องว่าตั้งสำรองไว้ทุกคดีหรือยังทุกคดีแล้วนะครับสำหรับ479 ล้านเหตุใดใน Q3 มีดอกเบี้ยสูงกว่า Q2 68นะครับดอกเบี้ยที่สูงกว่าเนี่ยก็มีสาเหตุมาจากมันมีโครงการลงทุนบางโครงการเนี่ยที่ได้ปิดโครงการนะครับพอปิดโครงการไปเนี่ยตัวดอกเบี้ยเนี่ยที่เดิมผู้มาเนี่ยก็หยุด capitalize เป็น asset ก็มาเข้า PL เพิ่มบางส่วนก็จะทำให้ดอกเบี้ยใน Q3 68สูงกว่า Q2 นะครับเพราะว่าจากดอกเบี้ยที่เดิม capitalize ได้ นะครับเป็น project cost ก็จะต้องมาเป็น expense ใน PL แต่ขณะที่เมื่อ COD ปุ๊บก็จะมีการ saving หรือมีกำไรตามมาด้วยปัจจุบันโพลีนมีการใช้เตาเผาปูกี่เปอร์เซ็นต์แล้วก็ Q4 จะมีการปิดซ่อมบำรุงอีกหรือเปล่านะครับเรามีการใช้ยูเรทของคลิงเกอร์เนี่ยประมาณ88 ถึง 90% นะครับแล้วก็น่าจะไม่มีการปิดซ่อมใหญ่อีกต่อไปถ้าปิดก็จะเป็น annual repair maintenance ประจำปีมองผลประกอบการของธุรกิจ specialty chemical ยังไงใน Q4 เปรียบเทียบกับ Q3 ครับพัฒนาเชิงบวกหรือลบอย่างไรบ้างนะฮะบริษัทมองว่าธุรกิจปิโตรเคมเนี่ยมันผ่าน bottom ไปแล้วตอนนี้มันก็ยังอยู่ในระดับที่ recovery ขึ้นแต่ว่าก็ยังอยู่ในระดับที่ไม่มากแต่ก็น่าจะผ่านจุด bottom ไปแล้วคุณมาเรียมีจะเสริมอะไรเรื่องธุรกิจ
Okay. So
chemical
we already have the spread outlook for the fourth quarter, which is better than third quarter. The reason why we have this is because we already have the order or almost all for the quarter volume, and it goes to January. So we will review the spread outlook after January, but so far, fourth quarter spread will be slightly better than the third quarter.
ครับคำถามเดิมนะฮะ400 กว่าล้านเนี่ยรวมทุกคดีหรือยังรวมแล้วนะฮะสำรองใช้จ่ายในการถมนะครับในภาวะที่ตลาดตราสารหนี้ยังไม่ปกติทางบริษัทมีแผนขอเพิ่มวงเงินจากธนาคารหรือไม่นะครับต้องบอกว่าตลาดตราสารหนี้เนี่ยก็ได้รับผลกระทบจากก่อนหน้าที่มีบางบริษัทเนี่ยที่ไม่สามารถชำระหนี้ได้หรือดอกเบี้ยได้ซึ่งเลื่อนไปแต่ว่าในส่วนของ TPIPL เนี่ยเราไม่ได้รับผลกระทบนะครับแม้แต่ภายหลังจากมีคดีเนี่ยทั้ง Power และ Polin เวลาขายกู้ก็ fully subscribe ภายในแค่ในวันหรือก่อนหน้าก็มีดีมานด์มาทำให้สามารถจำหน่ายหุ้นกู้ได้หมดอย่างรวดเร็วนะครับอย่างไรก็ตามเนี่ยบริษัทได้มีการคุยกับธนาคารนะครับเป็นทางเลือกเป็น fallback แล้วก็อาจจะมีการกู้เงินจากธนาคารในส่วนของการใช้เงินลงทุนในพวกโรงไฟฟ้านะครับหรือแม้แต่ตัวโพลินเองก็มีการคุยเรื่องวงเงินกับธนาคารไว้ด้วยเช่นกันนะครับคำถามคือตอนนี้มี undrawn หรือ unutilized credit line นะสิ้นไตรมาส 3จำนวนเท่าใดนะครับต้องเรียนอย่างนี้นะณวันนี้เลยเนี่ยเรามีเงินสดในมือเนี่ยประมาณ 7,800 ล้านนะครับรวมดอลลาร์ด้วยเทียบเท่านะครับ 7,800 ล้านและยังมีวงเงินพวกวงเงินสินเชื่อหมุนเวียนที่ยังไม่ได้เบิกใช้อีกประมาณ 1,000 กว่าล้านนะครับ 1,200 1,100 1,200 แล้วแต่บางทีก็ขึ้นไป 1,500 แล้วแต่ว่าเรามีจ่ายคืนเปิดไลน์กลับมายังไงด้วยดังนั้น firm available line เนี่ยมีอยู่ประมาณ 8,900 ล้านครับ CapEx สำหรับปีนี้เป็นยังไงนะครับเดี๋ยวนะครับ CapEx สำหรับปีนี้ผมขอจำคร่าวๆปีนี้เนี่ยในส่วนโพลีนและ Power เนี่ยจะมี CapEx ที่ยังไม่จ่ายในส่วนที่เหลือของปีเนี่ยประมาณ 1,000 กว่าล้านแล้วก็ปีหน้าเองเนี่ยก็ฝั่งโพลีนเนี่ยก็แทบจะไม่ค่อยมีอะไรเท่าไหร่ถ้าไม่มีโปรเจกต์ใหม่ๆเพิ่มอันเดียวกันPower เองก็เหลือน้อยมากเพราะฉะนั้นCapExใหญ่ๆของทั้ง2บริษัทเนี่ยตอนนี้ก็ไม่ค่อยมีอะไรเท่าไหร่ส่วนมากก็ถ้าไม่มีการลงทุนใหญ่เนี่ยผมว่าปีหน้าเนี่ยเราก็จะสามารถทยอยตั้งแต่ปีหน้าเป็นต้นไปเนี่ยทยอยลดหนี้ลงได้บ้างครับมีคนบอกว่าคราวต่อไปการ presentation ขอเป็นภาษาไทยได้ไหมเดี๋ยวผมต้องให้คุณมาเรียนเนี่ยไปพูดไทยได้แล้วใช่ไหมก็เดี๋ยวลองดูนะครับแต่ว่าจริงๆมันก็มีนักลงทุนที่เป็นนักลงทุนต่างชาติที่ดูแลหุ้นเราด้วยนะครับผมเชื่อว่าท่านที่ดู presentation เองก็เข้าใจภาษาอังกฤษอยู่แล้วส่วนใหญ่นะครับส่วน analyst ก็เข้าใจด้วยเช่นกันครับอื่นๆก็น่าจะครบถ้วนนะฮะถ้าไม่มีคำถามเพิ่มเติมเวลาก็หมดพอดีต้องขอบคุณที่ ให้ความสนใจในการนำเสนอข้อมูลของบริษัท TPIPL จำกัดมหาชนนะครับเราพบกันครั้งต่อไปเนี่ยผลประกอบการปี2568นะครับหลังจากงบออกวันนี้ต้องขอบคุณมากนะครับสวัสดีครับ